Hi, everyone. Teresa Aker here from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. It's my pleasure today to introduce you to Katherine Norland. How you doing, Katherine?
Wonderful. Thank you.
My pleasure to have you here. So, Katherine, I'm just going to read what we have here about you. You empower believers like everyone here to boldly step into their calling and live with their purpose with confidence. So, let's talk about how you got here, what you do, and where you're going.
Sure.
Let's start at the beginning. How did this all get started?
Okay. Well, I grew up in southern Minnesota and I really battled with low self-esteem. I would get made fun of in school for wearing thrift store clothes, and I really felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like I was bullied. I didn't think anyone would want to be my friend. I really had a distortion of how I saw myself, really thought I was ugly and disgusting and fat, and I didn't think I was smart. I tried to get into my local college and I got rejected, even though two of my friends who were in special ed got in. And I thought, I must be just like a worthless, um, lost cause. And I spiraled down into depression and really battled that. And then there was a switch that took place, and I started really discovering the Bible and what God had to say about me, and realizing I don't have to be fantastic. I don't have to look a certain way, that God created me on purpose for a purpose just the way I was, even if I grew up in a trailer park, even if I didn't look as good as my friends, or even if I didn't fit size two, or whatever all the things were that I hated at the time. And I started to realize I could really go after the dreams that I didn't think I was smart enough to do or capable of. And I really went full force into it. I moved to Hollywood. I tried to be an actor, and that was huge because at the time I was still battling these self-worth issues. So I would go to these auditions and I would see all these women who were drop dead gorgeous, and they were all like models, and they were told, "Oh, you should move to Hollywood. You should become a movie star." And I, size 10 and they're size 0. And I just felt so inadequate, like I didn't fit in. And I had to overcome that for doing my calling. And since then, I've really figured out how my worthiness issues tied into all my self-sabotage, why I wasn't able to make it. And I ended up writing a book on it called You Are Worthy. So this is really to help people stop building other people's dreams and sabotaging their own, so they can step into their calling and live their purpose with confidence. And it's like I really give people all the necessary things to show them how to see themselves the way God sees them, how to see themselves in an empowering light, so they can shake off any of the excuses they have for not going after their dreams. And they can realize that no matter your age, no matter where you live, no matter your history, that God has a powerful, promising future for you, and you can step into it without having to fix or change anything about yourself.
Wow, what an empowering message. So let's talk about that. Can we expand a little bit?
Yeah, of
What are some of
course.
your ideas? So let's say we do have you mentioned something actually, if we could circle back,
Yeah.
self-sabotage. A lot of people do that, I think, in life
Mhm.
because they think as they're growing or succeeding on the road to success, they start to get sort of, I guess you call it imposter syndrome or something
Yeah.
like that, where you're feeling like, am I really worthy of this? Can I really do this? And then they kind of shake it down and their negative thoughts kind of take over. And there you go. They self-sabotage. So what hints would you have for someone going through that?
Yeah. Um, there's I think there's underlying fear that comes with it. I can tell you a really prominent example that stood out for me. I mean, I would sabotage myself all the time, but I remember one time in particular, I had this audition for a bikini model thing. And I knew I had to go the next day and walk this runway in a bikini. I was already overweight by at least 20 or 30 pounds compared to the standard bikini model. And even knowing that I had this audition and I was allergic to gluten, The night before I went out and I binged on like 4 or 5 or 6 Krispy Kreme donuts and I just bloated up. And the next day I went to this audition and I looked like I was pregnant because I had the reaction to this gluten. And that was just like, I've sabotaged myself in so many more subtle ways, but that was one that I really remember. Wow, I just have this thing of shooting myself in the foot, whether it's not getting back to some, I have an audition come up and I didn't get back to them in time, or I didn't, but I let everything get in the way.
Okay.
One subtle way that I think a lot of people sabotage themselves is they do it, even if it's not like overt, like I'm going to eat Krispy Kremes that I'm allergic to before I go to an audition. Sometimes we do it under the guise of I'm being helpful. I'm going to be selfless. I'm really going to help these other people. And we get these opportunities, but instead of going for them, we say, well, I'm going to do my thing later. I'm going to put my hopes and dreams on the back burner. I'm going to tell those people that opportunity, that open door, I can't do that right now because I got to do this. And we think, well, I'll come back to it later. I'll circle back to it. And then we never do. I remember my agent early on kept saying, you need new headshots. Your headshots don't represent you well. We need new photos of you so we can send out to the casting directors to get you jobs. And because I somehow didn't feel worthy of more success or felt like I already had more than I should, whenever I would get extra money, instead of spending them on headshots, I would just go give it away to homeless people. I would just give all my money away to homeless people, even though I knew I needed headshots, even though I had credit card debt that I could pay down on, I would just give it away. So sometimes we do things that we don't realize are self-sabotage, and we do it under the guise of, well, I'm helping the less fortunate. I'm doing these things for others. And we have to stop and really, is it because we really are that caring and selfless? Maybe, but maybe it's because part of us doesn't feel worthy,
Yeah.
that we think, "Well, I have to give it to people who are worse off than me," and we don't go for it and follow our dreams and do the things. If I thought it through in a more logical way and I realized if I got the headshots, if I booked these bigger roles, that would actually give me more money, more finances, and I would be able to help more people. So, you being a success and having a successful business is actually going to help more people around you than you staying stuck at this level because you don't feel worthy of the next level.
Very good analogy of that. That was very good, Catherine. I think a lot of people do that. And the worthy part, I think, is the big one. I think a lot of people, it's just my opinion, I certainly have been there myself, where you just think you're just not, there's something inside of you that just says, is this, there's people out there with riches and fortunes and so forth. Well, is there enough money to go around that, I just want this amount. We almost shrink ourselves down. Does that make sense?
Totally. Totally. And that's, I feel like it's a misconception that we think there's only so much to go around. I
Yeah.
mean, if you look in the book of Genesis in the Bible, for those of you who've ever read that book, God tells Adam and Eve where the gold is. There was no stores. There was no places to buy anything. And he tells them, this is where the gold is, and the gold is good. So before there was even a place to spend it, God's letting you know there's abundance for you, right? Everything in the garden, freely eat all that you want, except for this one little tree over here, but freely eat as much as you want. God is not limited, right? Scripture says he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. He owns everything. Whatever we need, God can supply it for us. And us having an abundance does not take away from anybody else. And I think that's a misconception we have sometimes too. And I think that's why the book of Genesis is so neat. I heard uh someone I admire named Myron Golden talk about the reason we were born in a garden and not in a bakery, let's say, is because In a garden, when you eat the fruit, the seeds are left, they drop to the ground, they can grow many more trees, many more apples. But if you're born in a bakery, when you eat those slices of pie, there's less slices of pie, there's less to go around. There's only a finite amount rather than an infinite amount. So when we are successful and for instance, just an example, when you have more things and you have more success, you actually are spending more, you're hiring more people, you're needing more people on your team, you're opening the businesses, you're successful, you're able to hire more people, you have more jobs, you have more to give. But if we don't take off, we don't be a success, and we end up just barely scraping by to get enough for ourselves. Some way we think this is like some noble cause, that we're being noble because we're not being greedy, but it's actually the opposite. People who go, well, I don't want to be selfish. I only want enough for me and my family to get by. I'm not going to be one of those greedy people. Actually, if you think about that, that actually is greedy. If you only want enough for you and your family, that's kind of the definition of greedy. If you want to be wildly successful and you can then hire all these people, you're creating all of these jobs. That in some ways actually is being more generous. If you think about it, it's turning things on its head, because I know a lot of times we are so indoctrinated that big business is bad, companies are greedy, and that's not always, sure, there's some bad eggs, but that is not always the case.
Yeah, that's fair. So you obviously found your calling and you're doing books and do you do courses or do you do
Yes,
counseling
yes. I
people?
have a course called You Are Worthy. That's
Oh,
content that's in the book, but it goes much deeper. That's at youareworthycourse.com. And I have another course called The Divine Solution, and that's for people who are really hurting on the inside. They've maybe had some past traumas, and I go in and show you how to pull out those slivers and how to heal from past traumas so you can, move into your calling. And some people can't even get the message of their self-worth until they've removed all the painful things that have happened to them. And I just completed an acting course. I've been an actress in Hollywood for over 20 years. And so I have a new course coming out called Acting and Having Fun. So you can go to actingandhavingfun.com, and that'll teach you all the steps you need to be an actor and what to do on set and how to act. And yeah,
that's great. Well, you have to tell us, what did you do in your acting career?
sure.
Tell us some of the, have you done movies, television shows? Tell us some of that.
Yeah, I've mostly been in a lot of independent films. I think a lot of mainstream, like regular people may not know about independent films, but independent films are films that are made without a studio. So there's not
Yeah.
huge, big multi-million dollar budgets backing. There's usually not stars in them. So like maybe when you go onto your streaming and you're looking through the movies, you're seeing titles and you're like, I don't recognize anybody in those. Those were the kind of films that I did a lot of. I've been in more than 100 film projects. And currently, I'm a series regular on a really popular show on YouTube called Dhar Mann.
Dhar
And
Mann.
that has had over 65 billion views on that
Wow, good
show.
for you.
And there's millions and millions of subscribers that watch this show. So that's been something I've been doing for almost 7 years. I've been in over
Wow.
200 episodes. So that's the show I get most recognized for.
And
I
what is
was on
Dhar
an
Mann about?
episode. What's that?
What is Dhar Mann about? Tell us.
Dhar Mann is kind of like an I don't want to call it an inspirational soap opera, but for lack of a better, it's real life scenarios, but it's inspirational. It teaches you like how to live your life, how to treat others, how to not judge a book by its cover, how
Mhm.
not to assume things about others. And so there's the Dhar Mann channel on YouTube, which is content that's the main characters mostly geared towards high school age and middle school. And then there's the Dhar Mann bonus channel where the main plots are usually geared towards more adult themes, like a woman getting diagnosed with cancer or her husband leaving her, or things like that. So Dhar Mann bonus channel. These are all on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. And Dhar Mann was just featured in the Hollywood Reporter, the New York Times.
Oh, well done.
He was on the Forbes
Congratulations.
list as the #2 content creator, I think, in the world or in the United States at least. Yeah.
Congratulations. You'll have to
Thank
send me
you.
the link and I'll make sure it's in the show notes for everybody to take.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So well done. That's very good. I know the independent film industry is growing quite rapidly. In fact,
Mhm.
when we talked and when I connected with you, that was one of the things the acting is sort of, I think there's so much in the acting world in the independent films, and I've been promoting actors, trying to help them bring out the shows that people may not have realized were out there. You have so
Right.
much talent. There is so much talent out there. So my thought was to help and promote the actors and the movies that are out there. And wow, you're all doing so well. So it's a huge community. I'm very proud to be able to bring
Yeah.
to my viewers.
Yeah, I have two of the films that I produced are on Amazon Prime Video right now. One
Oh,
of them is a zombie movie that I produced. So if you're squeamish, don't watch that one.
okay.
It's called Cannibal Corpse Killers. It's got a lot of blood and guts.
How
But then I
pleasant.
also have a really sweet friendship movie on Amazon Prime called Magic Hour.
Magic Hour. Okay. And we'll make
Mhm.
sure those are on as well. So you'll send me the information for that too. So
Wonderful.
happy to promote that. Now, and your book we can get on Amazon, I'm thinking.
Yes, all my books are on Amazon. I have the
Tell us
four
your
that
story
I've
behind.
written
Yeah.
behind me, the memoir I helped my dad write his memoir, The
Oh,
Hundred
really?
Air. And I have a couple ebooks on there as well
Oh,
on Amazon.
fantastic. And I see them behind you. So tell us what the books are in behind you. What do you have?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So we talked about You Are Worthy.
Yes.
The other three are part of my Poetic Prescription series. So I've got Poetic Prescriptions for Eternal Youth, examining
Oh,
earthly beauty from a heavenly perspective. And this has a lot of like what I dealt with in Hollywood about having to look a certain way. I've got Poetic Prescriptions for Plaguing Problems, which is biblical remedies for when life bites. And my first book was Poetic Prescriptions for Pesky Problems. So
oh,
these are all faith-based poetry.
oh, very good. No, well done. I like that. So
And
and again, we can get all of those on Amazon.
yes, yes, and my newest book is actually an adult coloring book called You
Oh,
Are Worthy Coloring Book.
oh, I like that. You
So
know what?
this
I actually do have a small coloring books. I like to do
do
that.
you and this is it's all quotes. It's either quotes from my book or it's scriptures. So
Oh,
it's, all different people, all different walks of life with the inspirational messages. So,
oh, very good. Oh, you've done very well for yourself.
oh,
Congratulations.
thank you.
You're very, very pleasant and very calm, and I can see you helping people and with your courses and doing the writing. Now, what are you doing today? I know you've got these projects finished. What are you currently working on?
Yes, I'm currently working on um, honestly getting my websites and landing pages built for my courses
Sure.
because I would love to launch. I haven't launched the Acting and Having Fun course yet. So that's right now it's a waiting list. If you go to actingandhavingfun.com, you'll get on a waiting list. So that's the main thing I'm working on. But if anyone wants to get, I give away some of the videos that are in my You Are Worthy course by if you go to freegiftfromcoachkat.com, that's cat with a K, K-A-T. I have a few of the videos out of that course that you can watch and get a sampling idea of some of the content in the course.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that's nice that you're giving that out. That's really good. So
Yeah.
from here, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where are you going?
Where am I going? I definitely see myself writing. I have several more books I would like to write. I would love to do more in the acting career, but I also have a heart towards wanting to do speaking engagements, going around maybe women's conferences, churches, or really just anything that has to do with personal development and speaking on a lot more stages. I'll be speaking in Minneapolis in August at the Fearless Women's event. And I'm also a life coach. So I do have several coaching clients that I speak to on a weekly basis and help them remove their obstacles that are standing in the way between them and their dreams.
I know a lot of people do life coaching. So
Mhm.
did you do you have a certificate to do that sort of thing, or is that something you've just, with your experience,
Yeah,
you've been able
you
to
know, it's
do?
something I've been doing the last 11 years. I don't have a certification in it.
Yeah.
It's just the life experience that
Yeah.
I've been using. But I've read so much. It's almost like I have a degree with the amount of
Yeah.
work I've done myself in person and online courses. Um, so yeah, it's been great.
That's great. No, I think it's wonderful. I know there's courses, but honestly, I always say with people have gone through life, wherever you're at, you do have a toolbox of experiences.
Hmm.
You can certainly lend to other people and help them. So
Yeah.
nice that you've taken all your experiences and your uh, talents and everything that you've learned and pass it on to other people and help them, because I think a lot of people do get lost in life. And whether you believe
Mhm.
in God, your source, the universe, whatever you believe in, I think we all have to have some hope and believe there's something other than just ourselves that we're able to build strength on. So that's very good of you. And so if I asked you if you could give 3 tips today for our viewers of how
Hmm.
to get through kind of life, let's say they're going through chaos right now. Do you have any tips of how to calm down, how to kind of refocus and sort of shake it off and move forward?
Hmm. Well, I think the first big thing I would do if I was in the middle of chaos is I would just stop. Just try to like get away to a quiet place and definitely pray, definitely start journaling, definitely get clear on what is imperative. Get clear on what is the most important thing to you right now, because sometimes we get caught up in other people's whirlwinds. Sometimes the chaos, some of it is self-induced, sometimes it's stuff happening to us.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's cares and responsibilities that we've put on ourselves that are not even ours to carry. Um, my friend lovingly, kind of a spoof, but she diagnosed me with overdeveloped sense of responsibility.
Okay.
So I always felt like I had to solve everybody's problems. So the first step I would tell you is to get away, get clear, write down like what exactly is my role? What exactly is it that I need to take on? And if there's all this stuff that maybe you have been doing and maybe there's people counting on you for it, the next step is probably going to be to let those people know, hey, I'm going through something myself right now, and I can no longer continue to this. And sometimes that's the scariest part for people is reshifting and refocusing on yourself and your self-care and what you need to do, even if it's going to let some people down, even if it's going to disappoint them. You have to realize that even if people get upset with you, that's actually very telling of who they are.
Yeah.
Because if they were really loving and caring and supportive and in your corner, they would say, oh my goodness, I had no idea you were carrying that. I understand absolutely. If you need to take a step back, I mean, I'm devastated or I'm sad or I wish we could continue working together, but I get where you're at. And if you ever want to come back at the same time and let's do this again when your plate is more clear, that's a true friend.
That's
If
right.
someone is going to yell and get mad and you promised you're breaking your that you got to be if those people are usually the ones we're scared to approach, but we have to realize that is very telling of who they are. And sometimes we need these breaks. We need to realize when we have to say no to someone, that us saying no to them is revealing who they are. And it's also revealing to us who we should be taking into our future. So that second step of breaking away from the responsibilities that are not actually yours or the people you've been taking care of, they may get mad, but the true ones are going to understand and they're going to be like, okay, I get it, So I would say that would be the second thing. The third thing is I would really make a list of everything that you need to do when you're going through chaos. Make a list, and then once you have a list of all the things you think you need to do, by each thing on the list, I would write down, no, is this really my responsibility? Is this somebody else's responsibility? Or is this something I need to put in God's hands? Because so many times we're taking on stuff, not only that is other people's, but that stuff that we cannot do anything about, right? It's kind of like the serenity prayer. We have to pray that, you know, God grant me the wisdom to, to take care of these things, but then also to know what is not mine to take care of,
Right,
right? Because there's certain things we can't do. We can't force our child to get off drugs. We can't force our spouse to stop yelling or doing destructive. We can't make anybody do anything.
right.
We're only responsible for ourselves. So when you make that list of everything that's the chaos, what is it that actually only I can be in charge of? I'm going to pray about the things that I would like others to change, but I can't do anything about it. I'm going to pray to God. I'm going to ask him, help me give over to you the things that are weighing me down. Take these things, give your care, right? The scripture says, cast your care on God because he cares for you. And then just focus on the things on the list that truly, for real, are your responsibility and what you need to take on. And once you have that list, just that alone, you're going to feel a weight lift off you. You're going to feel less chaos, like you're not being twisted as much in that tornado. And then as you look at your list, depending on your personality type, there's a couple things you can do. You can either start to tackle what feels the heaviest, what's weighing on you the most, what's hurting your heart the most, or you can start tackling the easy things. Well, I know I can call the doctor about this. I know I can put in my resignation here about this. Start focusing on either the heavy things or the things that you feel like, okay, I can check some things off and I get some momentum. So whatever feels better to you, and you're going to just,
Yeah,
right? You're going to
exactly.
start to, and there's tools, you can use the breathing, you can use journaling, you can use prayer. I use essential oils. Like I have
Oh,
stress away oil sitting on my desk. I have transformation, I have release, but I feel like there's not enough. I have abundance oil going in the diffuser. And there's certain things you can do. There's prayer, meditation, getting up, going for walks, putting on the oils, listening to certain sound frequencies on YouTube, right? Putting on healing or frequencies or productive frequencies or calm, peaceful frequencies or playing praise and worship music. There's a lot you can do to regulate yourself as you tackle the things on your list. Those would be the three steps I would do if I was in chaos.
perfect. Well done. Thank you so much for your advice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now hold your book up again, the one, because we want everybody to be able to get it.
Sure.
There you go.
You
So You
you
Are
are worth.
Worthy is the book from Katherine. So
Yeah.
everyone, this is Katherine Norland. Katherine, thank you so much today for
Yes.
coming and talking to us. Honestly, you have some great advice, and perhaps down the road, if you like, you could come back and talk to us again and let us know where you're at. And the viewers may want to connect with you. So if someone wanted to reach out this moment, what would be the best
Yes.
place?
Let's see. I would go to freegiftfromcoachcat.com and they can download the videos and then that will put them in my cycle and you'll get an email or two from me. Every week I send out an email letting you know I have a new video up on YouTube. If you need some like help with life, I have more than 900 videos on my YouTube channel giving
Wow.
faith-based life advice.
And
So pretty
they
much you can type in my name and any topic of what you're going through, bullying, self-esteem, self-worth, anxiety, depression, I probably have a video on it.
That's fantastic. Well done. I'll make sure that your YouTube channel's there for everybody too.
Wonderful. And then I'll give you my Instagram and Facebook if people want to
Yeah.
contact me that way
Yeah,
as
we'll
well.
do all of the social media and we'll make sure you're connected with everyone, okay?
Wonderful. Sounds
Katherine,
great.
thank you so much today. You're quite a nice person and I'm really glad that I had you on.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you to everyone. This is Katherine Norland. Go over to her channels, go to her YouTube and subscribe there because that helps her too bring some great content. Go over to their social media. I'll make sure all of that's here in the show notes. Do subscribe to my channel. I truly appreciate that. And I hope you're all having a great day. This is Teresa Aker from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. Thank you again. Bye-bye.